Oh my goddess. Here I am again, beloved. And there you are again. We are in this moment of celebrating the frequency of the eclipses. It is the cycle. Excuse me while I look away. I'm trying to get, there we go. We got it. Okay, beautiful. Today's subject is eclipse meditation. You know, we're going to meditate on this frequency of the eclipse seasons that we're in. This is the midpoint between the solar eclipse that took place on the 12th of July and the lunar eclipse that will happen on the 27th of July. So we are at the first quarter of the moon right now, the midpoint between the two. And at the midpoint, we have access to the energies of the solar eclipse that already began on the 12th, as well as the lunar eclipse that is coming up on the 27th. This is an extremely powerful cycle of time that we're in. Probably one of the most powerful downloads of energy that is happening in the whole year of 2018. Our responsibility is really up-leveled right now. Our accountability, you know, that which we're accountable for, you know, the process of our growing, you know, what it is that we need to awaken into, everything is tremendously accelerated. So it's a time when it's important for you to up-level whatever it is that you're doing in terms of your spiritual practice. You know, I know for me, I usually do, you know, hour and a half or so a day, but it's about 3 hours now. You know, that's what it takes to hold that place of equilibrium, because this is a time when collectively many of the collective ancestral frequencies, you know, and societal frequencies that we have collectively set into motion that are out of balance, you know, are in our face in order to be addressed, in order to be brought into a place of clearing, you know, into a place of equilibrium. You know, this is a time in our lives when we want to be about the business of blessing the confrontational energies that we come in contact with, neutralizing them, and then bringing about the divine transformation of those energies, because all energies were originally pure, and all energies are meant to come back to their native purity. But we must step into alignment with the God self that we are in order to bring about this purification and this balance, and to reclaim the equilibrium of our being. So a couple days before the lunar eclipse, which is coming up, as I said, on the 27th of July, 2 days before, on the 25th, Mercury goes retrograde. And when Mercury goes retrograde, everything becomes inward, internalized. You know, things are not so much accelerated in the outer sense, but we are dealing with an internal journey when Mercury goes retrograde. And also there is accountability for any and all things that have been left undone. Everything that we've been putting off, has to be addressed during the Mercury retrograde cycle. Mercury retrograde is also a cycle which is like 21 to 25 days. So it's, pretty much predominant through this entire eclipse season, which we have 3. And usually we get 2 eclipses, but we have 3. So we have the solar eclipse that happened on the 12th of July, at 20 degrees of Cancer, Sun and Moon conjunction. And then coming up on the 27th of July, we have the lunar eclipse, which is a full moon, lunar eclipse at 4 degrees of Aquarius. And meaning that opposite that is the sun in Leo. Whenever there's a full moon, there's an opposition between the sun and the moon. And the opposition is a relationship aspect in astrology. So there's a lot of accountability happening at the level of relationship. We'll have a lot of opportunities to do clearing with regards to our relationship with ourself, our relationship with the beloved, our relationship with the divine, our relationship with our accomplishments, and so on and so forth. So there's just tremendous power and frequency that is being unleashed during these times. Now, for some, it can be a bit scary. If you're not about the business of your spiritual practice, if you're not doing some meditation and some visualization and some positive affirmations, then you can catch a little bit of hell during these times, because the negative energies will by default be in your face. But we got to align with the universal default, and the universal default is the frequency of love, is the frequency of God and goddesshood. So that's what we want to align with. So this full moon, lunar eclipse, 4 degrees of Aquarius, which means then, that the sun is 4 degrees of Leo, opposite the Aquarius. And then we have the planet Uranus, which is at 2 degrees of Taurus. So Uranus is making a square, which is kind of like a stressful, confrontational type of conversation between the planets. It's squaring, this lunar eclipse. And so that's where the accountability comes in to really address the shadow energies. So if you are in the first 10 days of Aquarius, of Leo, of Taurus or Scorpio, those are the ones of us who are going to have to address this energy at the deepest level. Like for myself, I'm in the first 10 days of Aquarius. And so, my accountability I know is very high, and that's why I've been diligent with regards to my spiritual practice. And I'm going to bless the darkness, make it right, reverse the tide, and free the light. And I invite you to bless the darkness, make it right, reverse the tide, and free the light. All energy was originally pure, and all energy ultimately will come back to its native purity. But we have to be the initiators of that reality by invoking and dreaming it awake, by holding the intention of what it is that we want, by treating the difficult energies that we encounter as fertilizer, aka glorified waste. But you never heard the soil complain or give a rebuttal. The soil never said, "Oh man, you dumped on me," but rather the soil went into the wisdom of alchemy and yielded a richer crop, not in spite of the waste, but because of the waste. I see a lot of you beloveds logging on. Thank you so much. I love you, and I welcome you to this moment of empowerment. I am Astarius Miraculi, your champion, your astrologer, your sound healing transmitter, and your Reiki practitioner, and all of those different things. I offer these frequencies as a means to bring about your transformation and my transformation. So when we look at the energies of Uranus, because this solar eclipse is, making this T-square to Uranus, meaning that all of that energy of the lunar eclipse is converging in the planet Uranus. So Uranus is the energy of erraticness, So it is with the sign of Aquarius. You know, Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. So there's a twofold emphasis of Uranian Aquarian energy. So that energy can be aloof. You know, that's on the negative side. It can be aloof energy. It can be detached. You know, it can be indifferent. You know, so that there may be those kind of energies, but it's also in the divine sense, you know, it's the energy of inventiveness, it's the energy of creativeness. You know, it's that energy that says, I'm going to be me, the whole me, and nothing but me, in spite of what's expected of me. It's that energy of being outspoken, where you're in your emotional honesty and you speak your truth. So there can certainly be some opportunities for you to speak forward those things that you believe. Other people may also be doing the same thing. You know, it's an energy that can sometimes be a bit of a confrontational energy. That's also true of the opposite sign, Leo, you know, which is in the mix, you know, of this lunar eclipse. The Leo energy is also the energy of affectionateness. So this is a time when we can grow our affection. It's the energy of the leader. You know, it's the energy of the boss, but then it can also in a shadowy way be bossy. You know, the Aquarian energy is the energy of sudden and unexpected changes. You know, and so you might have very spontaneous things that didn't give you any forewarning, you know, that all of a sudden is a change and a shift and you have to shift gears immediately and do something in a different way. It's the energy of experimentation. You might find yourself experimenting in areas where you never did before. It's the energy of inspiration. So it's a great time to engage in your creativity, to engage in writing, to engage in things that are of an artistic nature. Now, what's also in the mix is Mars is in a very close conjunction to this full moon lunar eclipse. You know, the full moon is full at 4 degrees of Aquarius. Mars is 3 degrees of Aquarius. So the energy of Mars can be, you know, it's life force. You know, so it's a time when you can grow your life force. It's the energy of male energy, you know, so that's, you know, your interchanges with men in the external sense, but also the internal male energy. Even if you're a man, how do you carry that vibration? If you're a woman, how are you carrying the internal resonance of, you know, that inner male vibration? Mars is also the energy of sexuality. So there may be some lessons that have to be learned in that area, some healing of energies associated with sexual abuse, some energies associated with healing energies associated with sexual judgments. You know, the sexual force is also the life force. The same energy that makes babies and brings erotic pleasure is the same energy that gives vitality to the body, heals the body, and creates everything on every level. So it's a really important time to ask yourself the question, how am I in relationship with the sexual force inside of my own body? Independent of what you're doing with other people, what's your relationship to that energy internally? If you have a harmonious relationship with sexual energy within your own body and you welcome that energy into your body, whether you have physical outlets to connect with other people or not, if you welcome that energy into your body, then you're welcoming in the energy of creation force. Makes you a more powerful creator, because that's the energy that creates everything on every level. So be mindful of what is it that is needing to be healed relative to sexual energy. You know, if there's some abusive experiences of the past, there may be healings that need to take place in terms of that energy. You know, it's a big time when the energy of resentment is something that we have to deal with. But what we resent, we reject. What we reject, we're not able to learn from, and then we have to learn it over. Because when we're resenting something, we're pushing on a door marked pull. And when you're pushing on a door marked pull, you can't get rites of passage. Even if it's the most painful situation, you got to take the handle and open that door, receive the door unto yourself, and then you're able to walk through. You see, so we open up the door, we stand tall, and we face it. Our cup is somewhat bitter, but we receptively embrace it. It's a very wise decision, for we cannot escape it. Yes, this effect was reaped from a cause we did sow, and now is simply the time to pay the debt that we owe. So with calm assurance, we now walk through the door to be So with calm assurance, we now walk through the door to be tormented by this experience no more. For the lesson we have learned and the message we did hear it, oh, how it expanded our mind and quickened our spirit. Yes, that circumstance was no element of chance. We were only receiving our own, and that's why we embraced it. Behold the things of greater brilliance on the other side of the door that now dutifully and gracefully fulfill and replace it. To think we foolishly thought it was a disadvantage, what a blessing to realize that every seeming negative thing must always have an equal positive advantage. So look for the positive advantages that exist within the negative confrontational experiences that might get in your face. With Leo being involved in this lunar eclipse, that's the frequency of childlikeness. So it's a time to grow your relationship with your inner child. The root of your godhood is in your inner child, which is why the Holy Scripture says, unless you become as a little child, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven. If you don't come with those credentials, they will not let you back in to those ascended realms of heaven. So we want to deepen the relationship with the inner child. Certainly a time when we can come into a greater courageousness. And each of us are infinitely courageous. You can't not be courageous. What can happen is your attention can be hijacked away from your courageousness, and then you're in the illusion that you're not courageous, and it can hurt like hell, while the greater expanse of your being is in a state of infinite courageousness. So let's grow our courage. Let's grow our experience of the leader. Let's grow our experience of liberation. It's a time to really come into a greater measure of liberation. And if you've been allowing things to stand in the way of your freedom and liberation, then the pain around that becomes intensified, which can then hopefully be a catalyst to bring you to a greater passionate expression of who you are as an independent being. There can be confrontations with anger, so you want to be really careful with this Mars there. People are going to have a bit of a short fuse during this time. But if we begin to offer energy to it beforehand, in fact, I'm going to pause now and offer a prayer on our behalf so that we can address this energy in a responsible and constructive way. Divine Creator, God, Goddess Absolute, we come before your sacred altar of being. And we ask you, Divine Creator, to ignite the cellular counterparts within our being that represent every angel and every ascended master, even unto God, Goddess Absolute, that as we approach this eclipse season and enter into this lunar eclipse experience, that we will bless this situation and open up in order to be blessed back by that situation. We ask you to bring us into alignment with the spirit of patience as we go through these experiences. Divine Creator, let us be in the awareness there is nothing whatsoever in our outer world that is bigger than us, because we are the microcosmic extension of Creator Absolute. And everything is meant to be servant unto us and not master over us. And so we choose to be served by the difficult experiences of our life. We choose to bless those experiences. We choose to be in the recognition that it is wise not to despise it. We'll use the dung to fertilize it in the awareness that life's greatest connoisseur gets the best crops from the best manure. Divine Creator, let us be open and receptive to our feeling nature, for we are in a cycle when we cannot escape our relationship with our feelings. And so let us be in our relationship with our feelings in a good way. Let us recognize that our feelings are rooted within our being. And our being is our access code to Source, our access code to God. Let us bring joy to the cycle that we're in, even though it's a difficult cycle. We thank you so much for helping us to be our own champion and to have our own back. And I offer these tones to facilitate the fulfillment of these prayers that have been spoken. You're strong, beloved. You are capable. You are the master of your life. I see the reality of the master that you are. I see the reality of the champion that you are. I see the reality of the you that has your own back and is your own champion. I see the reality of you that is always in a state of loving you, no matter what others' response might be to you. In this eclipse meditation, we also align with the frequency of love. And before I go fully into this love vibration, I also want to mention that on the eclipse day, the lunar eclipse on the 27th of July, it's also, numerologically speaking, a number 9 month. The month of July is a number 9 month, and the 27th day is a number 9 day. And this is applicable to most places, throughout the planet, even though there are for some places it'll be on the 28th, but definitely here in this Western Hemisphere, and even for those who are in, the UK area and all of that, it's all on the 27th. But 9 is a number of exalted responsibility. It's the most matured number. All numbers are combinations of 1 through 9. 9 is the number of the elder, and so we will experience the emergence of the elder self from deep within the inner recesses of our being. We will not have a lot of patience with immaturity that we find within ourselves or within others, because there is accelerated maturity that is taking place with this frequency of 9. 9 is like being in the senior year of school when you're getting ready to graduate. A very honorable place to be. People look up to seniors in school, and the seniors in school have to work harder than anyone because all of the prerequisites have to be taken care of before graduation can happen. And so we are on the threshold of a very powerful graduation in the unfolding of our lives. So meditate on the number 9. You might want to inhale, while thinking benevolent number 9, and exhale. In my particular case, I'd exhale saying Sacred Astarius, and I'd inhale benevolent 9, and I'd exhale Sacred Astarius. You can do this same thing for yourself where you trade breath with the number 9. You can do the same thing, with the eclipses. I am so in love with me, so in love with the lunar eclipse, as the lunar eclipse is so in love with me. So part of the antidote for the challenging energies that we're dealing with is the frequency of love. Another planetary configuration is happening during this lunar eclipse is that the planet Venus in Virgo is in an oppositional alignment with the planet Neptune in Pisces. Neptune is the frequency of universal love. Venus is the frequency of personal love. So here is where personal love is meant to harmonically converge with universal love. I am so in love with me, so in love with all, as all are so in love with me. I am so in love with me, so in love with the solar eclipse, as the solar eclipse is so in love with me. You open yourself and you allow love to love you. So one of the ways in which you can use this antidote of love is by reflecting back on all of the times that you have been in love. I had an amazing revelation this last Friday the 13th. I woke up, and when I woke up, I began to remember all of the great loves of my life, all of the beautiful women who I was in love with. And the Most High encouraged me to remember the joyousness of those different moments of being in love. And yes, there were moments of pain and moments of despair and parts of it that didn't feel good. But the basic difference is when you're in the moments of love, like the honeymoon stage of love, and you'll notice that when you fall in love with someone, or you see two beloveds in love with each other, they treat each other like God, because there is a cellular awareness that in being in love with that being, in truth, they're having a rendezvous with God. The beauty of being in love is that being in love is an eternal reality. See, never is there a time when we are not in love, because love is a reality that is co-eternal with God, just like we are a reality of being that is also co-eternal with God. You see, so never is there a time when being in love ceases to be. The only thing that is missing is focused attention upon that love. We allow our attention to become hijacked. Hypothetically speaking, let's say a beloved was in a relationship for 10 years. And let's say 8 of those 10 years were just delicious and wonderful. And then the last 2, had a little bit of horror attached to them. So then the beloved gets out of that relationship. And when that beloved remembers the relationship, quite often, what they tend to focus more on is the horrible final 2 years rather than the glorious 8 years that existed in the beginning. And so You miss out on a connection with eternity. See, to be in love, beloved. Oh my God, this is just such a wonderful revelation. To be in love is to have a rendezvous with eternity. To be in love is to experience a cosmic moment, a moment that is a container for the whole of eternity. That's what being in love is. It's a container for eternity. When you're in love with someone, you're having a rendezvous with eternity. You're having a rendezvous with God. See, so I want you to think about the different times that you were in love. And just for a moment, beloved, remember only the gloriousness. I know that there was some pain attached, and we're not saying that that didn't exist, and you'll get times to work through all of that. But right now, remember the deliciousness of your moments of being in love. Be in the awareness that you were having a relationship with God. Be in the awareness that when you gave your love to that beloved, over and above giving that love to them, you gave that love through them unto God, Goddess Absolute, who always appreciates the love that you give and will always reciprocate the blessing back to you. As long as you don't go into resenting having given the love because maybe this individual didn't reciprocate. The love doesn't always come back to you through the same individual that you give it to. The same individual does not always give back in like measure. Maybe by, relative to their evolvement, they're not able to at that particular time. But you're always having a rendezvous with God when you're in a relationship. Relationship created from above. I'm going to share this with you. This is I call this one Relationship the Vessel. And it's got some wonderful keys in it about this whole relationship dance. And if you like it, you can find it in my book, Miraculi, Song of Ascension. Relationship created from above, a vessel for the journey of love, sailing upon the human seas, mirrors of self that set me free. Our human goal above any other to reveal one another to each other. When I relate to you, I learn and I see, and yet my greatest learning is always about me. Relationship must be the key to my self-mastery. The past is gone. The future takes too long. Time to sing a current song. Only now can take me home. Only now can show me how. My life, oh heaven, re-endow. Emotional pain from long ago within my heart rips to and fro. How many others will I blame for the horrors of my pain? Resentment pushed me from the tower. Forgiveness is my get-up power. Forgive the past, trust the present, make the future sweet and pleasant. It is wise not to despise it. Use the dawn to fertilize it. For life's greatest connoisseur gets the best crops from the best manure. I say the heathen spoil the seed and cause my little heart to bleed. Yet if I had not the need, they couldn't do these awful deeds. If in fact I need the lesson, the pain they cause becomes my blessing. The real truth is they work for me. So what shall be their salary? To ensure that it serves me best, I'll pay them the wages of forgiveness. Relationship, the vessel. Relationship, the star vessel. Relationship is a vessel for the journey of true love. No matter who the bond is with, the journey leads back home above. God is all there really is. This the truth will surely tell. Forgotten oneness with my God, now trapped within an earthly spell. Once upon eternity, there was nothing else but me, an all-pervading godliness with every possibility. Then I split myself in two, to be the me as well as you, and then to be the multitude, but oneness never to exclude. I dance the dance of harmony with every living part of me, then roll me all back into one. The one in all was so much fun. then part of me felt at a loss, unless it be a separate boss. A bitter war I waged with me, lost in hell, no longer free. I forgot that I was whole, ripped apart my very soul. The life within cannot be lost. Illusion was the only cause. Cease the war, no more attack. Heaven, you must take me back. Hand in hand with all of me, again I'm ready to be free. Though from my path I once did stray, forgiveness says it's all okay. Now all I be is homeward bound, where only wholeness can be found. Love of all the key to me, a bridge to God where I am free. Everything through oneness shown. Infinite love. Now take me home. And with that in mind, I want to now offer some frequency of my didgeridoo. I want you to, as I play my didgeridoo, I want you to reflect on all of the amazing love experiences that you've had and be in the awareness that you were having a rendezvous with God. You were having a rendezvous with eternity. And allow that energy to fill you up. And allow that energy to be an antidote to address any of the shadow or difficult energies that we're encountering during these eclipses, as well as the Mercury retrograde cycle. I offer this healing frequency as a vibration of healing for you and me and every being in all existence included in helping in this healing vibration. Take deep, full, elongated breaths. Life is a wonderful reality. Life is delicious and life is eternal. Life is your ally and life is my ally. Remember this. Let this be a season wherein you come into a deeper and more harmonious alignment with the God-Goddess essence within your being. To truly be in alignment with the God-Goddess essence within you, you must fall and rise in love with the whole of the universe. You must, and we must, believe in the redemption of every being. No matter how horribly others seem to be behaving, no matter how horribly we ourselves have behaved in the past, let us believe in the infinite possibility of redemption for every being. Rather than letting the way that we see ourselves or others be an affirmation of the negativity, let it be an affirmation of our wholeness, an affirmation of our divinity, an affirmation of our infinite love, or an affirmation of our creative expression. Because by virtue of seeing those things, we make a meaningful deposit within our soul bank and the soul bank of life that will accumulate interest until such time that that deposit will be withdrawn. Be of a forgiving nature, forgiving yourself and forgiving others. If you don't forgive the past, you can't trust the present, and you then attract a future untrustworthy and unpleasant. Some of us feel very justified in our resenting, but resentment can only be housed within our own heart. And when our heart is full of resentment, there is no room to receive the glorious experiences that would like to come into our heart and be a source of our joy, our bliss, and our fulfillment. So approach these times that we're in as a champion and know that you are a divinely strong being and that you are absolutely meant to be empowered by everything. Everything is meant to be servant unto you and nothing master over you except the divine reality of you. If you didn't see the video on the grand solar eclipse, which I did a week ago, that would be a good one to connect with. There's a lot of information about the solar eclipse there, and I also did one called Eclipse Healing, where it was specifically a lot of frequencies to heal those vibrations. So those are two videos that you can definitely benefit from. Also, be sure and go to my YouTube channel. I'm 250 some odd videos there, 1.3 million views. So there's a lot of information there for you, a lot of transformational frequencies. And be sure and go to my website, astarius.com, astarius.com. And I have about 19 CDs there, and be sure and surf through there, listen to some sound clips, read some excerpts from my 2 books that I have there, And, if it pleases your heart, play in the field of win-win and make a purchase. I appreciate all of you beloveds who have, purchased my creations. I appreciate that support and thank you so much. And I thank all of you who are going to in the future. I also am a psychic astrologer, and I do sound healing transmissions and Reiki transmissions, working with didgeridoo, working with vocal harmonics. I do this work in person as well as by Skype and by phone. I'm located in Phoenix, Arizona. And but wherever you are in the world, we can definitely do some work because we can use Skype. And you can also reach me by WhatsApp if you're on the other side, of the water and you want to not have to pay for a phone call. Then just call me by way of WhatsApp. And that's +1 928 254 9535. I also have a donation button on my website, and if you want to give a donation of appreciation, I thank you so much for that as well. I am Astarius Miraculi, and I thank you so much for receiving this download, because I tell you what, while I was sharing it with you, I was so deliciously full of myself. And it felt so good to share all of this and to remind us all of that place of courageousness and that place of overcoming and that place of creation that exists in the central core of our being, so that we can keep sacred company with our God-Goddesshood. Aho Ashe. Amen. Namaste. Hotep in Lakesh Alak in Shalom. Satnam Hari Om. Rastafari. Our sacred juices are so cooked and infinitely expanding, Juicetafari, Blistafari, and we will always have many miles on our smile, wiggle in our giggle, tingling in our boots, laughter ever after, put in our strut, wings on our butt, always rising up, up at the top. There's room for all, it's just the bottom that's crowded, y'all, and so it is, and so it shall eternally be. I love you so much.